Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another Barrel Proof Baseball podcast bottle review. It's a stormy Friday here in Arizona, which we only get like 3 of these a year. So figured today would be a great day to do a video and enjoy the potential for more than one cloud in the sky. So today I'm going to be talking about my favorite everyday bourbon. Now, this comes with a couple of caveats, so to speak. And I know that I'm going to get pushback on this, and that's totally okay. I fully expect it. So whatever, bring it on. It's my podcast. So my everyday kind of like I related the Teeling as my favorite everyday drinker. I wanted to go to a favorite everyday bourbon, specifically in the bourbon category. And the one I chose is going to be up for debate. Reason being, there are others that I would even probably say are maybe better, some even cheaper. This isn't in the budget range that I would say. However, this is kind of in that same range as the Teeling. It comes in right about $30, and there's a lot of really good qualities about it in addition to being a really good bourbon. So, without further ado, my go-to everyday bourbon is the Wild Turkey Russell's Reserve 10-year. Now, the reason is a number of reasons. It's delicious. That's the first reason. The second reason is it's available, and that's why it's my number one. The other ones that I would probably debate between, the favorite everyday bottle being between, are bottles that are just becoming really difficult to find. Now, as an example, I love Eagle Rare. Eagle Rare is one of my favorites. It's from Buffalo Trace, and it's going through that same thing that everything else from Buffalo Trace is going through right now, where you just can't find bottles very often or very, very easily. So putting this on that list would become kind of a chore for people to go out and try to find. If you can find Eagle Rare for $30 to $35, I would highly suggest picking that up. It's a great bottle. It's 10 years old, just like the Russell's Reserve, but it's just becoming more difficult to find. I think it's a very good bourbon. I think that when you see this somewhere, I saw this on Caskers the other day or Drizzly, one of those delivery service things, and they had this same bottle for $105. Now, this is a $30 bottle. I get it at Walmart. It's $30. I'm not spending $105 on it. It's a very good bottle, but not a $105 bottle. So as much as I would say this might take the cake over the Russell's taste-wise, I can't in good faith put it on my favorite everyday list just because it's not accessible. The second one is also from Buffalo Trace, and it's the Buffalo Trace. This is their flagship bourbon. This is their general standard offering, and it's really good. It's the same thing. It's 90 proof, just like the Russell's Reserve is, just like the Eagle Rare is. It's $21 to $30, so it's cheaper than the Russells and cheaper than the Eagle Rare. But I still have a lot of friends that are really into bourbon that have not had Buffalo Trace just because it's not available in their areas. There's times even at Total Wine that this is allocated. You can only get one bottle at a time. So, you walk into Walmart and it's sitting there. You walk into Target or, grocery stores, and a lot of times it's sitting there. It's sitting on our shelves at the local grocery store. But it's becoming an allocated bottle for some reason. So there's a lot of areas, there's a lot of markets around the country that don't have access to Eagle Rare or Buffalo Trace. So for me, like whenever I see Eagle Rare on the shelf at $30, I pick it up. This for me is easy enough to find, so I don't have to go after it that often. But I do like having a bottle on hand because it's a really good bottle for low $20 price point. So pick this up if you see it. I think you'll like it. It's a really good bottle. I think this is aged, I want to say 6 to 8 years, I believe, maybe 8 to 10, but it's in that range. But my pick for my favorite is still going to be the Russell's Reserve 10-year. Reason being, this is a $30 bottle. It's made by Wild Turkey. Wild Turkey puts out great products. I've gotten into a few more of theirs recently, and I highly suggest looking into Wild Turkey, just overall as a brand. Jimmy Russell is their master distiller forever. This was kind of his brainchild. Him and his son Eddie, I believe they worked on this together. Eddie took over as master distiller in 2015. And, the Wild Turkey brand's been around for a long time. What this was in 2001, the Russell's Reserve 10-year was released. It was released originally at 101 proof. In 2005, it was taken from the 101 proof down to 90 proof. That's been the knock on the Russell's Reserve 10-year is the proof. People tend to like and steer themselves more towards higher proofs. The popular bottles right now, not all of them, but there's a lot of popular bottles right now that are coming in at really high proof points. Elijah Craig barrel proof. The last one, the C920, the third barrel proof release by Elijah Craig in 2020, came in at 133.4 proof, I believe it was. And everything they came out with last year was over 120, 125 proof. So these high proof bottles are becoming really popular right now. So something like this coming in at 90 proof may not hold up with the bottles that are kind of popular with the high proof crowd right now. I don't want to drink a high proof bourbon every single night. I want to sit down. I want to be able to enjoy a 90 proof bottle, not the whole bottle, but a 90 proof drink, and not have to, really watch the fact that I'm having something that is literally 50 points higher potentially in proof. That's a ton. So this is a good sipping bottle. You could put it with a little bit of ice. You can put it on the rocks if you want. I love it neat. I think there's a lot of great flavors that come out of this. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's aged for 10 years. There's a lot of bottles right now that are not aged 10 years. The Eagle Rare is 10 years old. You've got a Bullet 10-year. There's a few bottles right now that are in that 10-year age statement area. And I think they're just becoming more and more difficult to find. There's just not as many bottles that have the age statement on it where they tell you it's 10 years old. Elijah Craig for a long time had their age statement on it, and just in the last few years took their age statement off. And I think what that allows for them to do is make their quote unquote small batch out of a bigger batch of bottles. The aging process, the aging number that will go on the bottle is based off of the youngest bottle that it's blended with. So if you have a 15-year bottle or a 15-year barrel of bourbon and you mix it with a 2-year barrel just to get that flavor, like commingling that they want, then it becomes a 2-year-old bottle of bourbon. So they don't want to use a 15-year bottle, mix it with a lower age, a barrel that's a lower age, and then have to put that up on the label. So a lot of these companies have just stopped putting age statements on it. So if it says the age on the bottle, you know it's that age. But that's one of the perks, I think, of this Russell's Reserve 10 years. You know it's been aged. It definitely has some woody characteristics to it that, to me, come out in more of these aged bottles. So I would say with the age statement, with the price, with the flavor profile, this one is really tough to beat. The mash bill on this, you're going to get 75% corn, 13% rye, and 12% malted barley. So it's getting towards that high rye bourbon kind of classification. When you taste this, I don't think you're going to get much spice out of it. I don't personally, but that rye content is there. So try it out. See if you get that spice in there from the rye. I don't personally get that, but I know in reading some reviews on what people got, a lot of people do find some spice in it. I just don't. I don't know if it's because I prefer a little bit higher proof, or if it's just not that spicy to me in terms of that rye coming out in the flavor. So this is one, again, coming out of Wild Turkey. Wild Turkey, I think, is oftentimes overlooked. I think there's a lot of brands. I think stuff coming out of Buffalo Trace, such as the Buffalo Trace, the Eagle Rare. I think those bottles are becoming, kind of the hip thing right now. But when you look at a bottle like a brand such as Wild Turkey, they've put out so many good bottles. You can go below this price point and you can get like the 101, which is going to run about $20. And that's a really nice, like, daily sipper that I would put into that budget category. You can go even lower than that. I think their standard is like an 86 proof. I could be wrong on that. But again, like, it's a tasty drink. Their rare breed, the Wild Turkey rare breed, was the first high proof bottle that I had tried out. And it was 116.8 proof. Very different than this, very different than the 101. It definitely has that cinnamony type of a flavor, but it's a higher proof. It's a significantly higher proof, and you can definitely taste the difference in the proof with the 116.8 going down to the 90. So I think you get different flavor profiles out of it based on the proof, but I do think that's something that's a good experimental level, being at 116 and not jumping right into something over 120 proof where if you're not careful, that will definitely kick you in the gut. So try this, try the rare breed, see how it is when you move up in that proof and see what kind of differences you get with flavor profile. The other one that I've had from Wild Turkey that I absolutely love was the 17-year Master's Keep. It's a bottled and bond, so it's 100 proof even. And I don't think there was that many bottles made. I want to say there was only 14,000 or so made. And I picked that up earlier this year. I was going to save it for my 40th birthday. But fortunately, the Dodgers won the World Series, and I felt that was a better opportunity to crack that bottle open and enjoy it. And that was just a bottle of liquid oakiness, and it was incredible. I loved it. It's something that, for one, the bottle itself is cool looking. The flavor is incredible. It definitely tastes aged. It was awesome. I would highly suggest, if you ever see that bottle anywhere at MSRP, pick it up, because I'm sure it's going to start getting into that area of markup that probably makes it unbuyable for a lot of people. So look into some Wild Turkey products and maybe start with this Russell's Reserve and then go up and down from there and see how you feel about the different offerings that they have. So moving into some tasting notes on this. I like the subtlety of this bottle. It's not going to be overpowering with anything that is in there. It adds a nice, consistent level drink every time you have a bottle. Russell's Reserve has a single barrel. Their single barrel is incredible. And the single barrel store picks, a lot of times these stores will go in and they'll pick out their own barrels. The single barrel store picks are outstanding, but just their standard single barrel is really good. It's going to run about $60, $65, and it's a super tasty bottle. The thing is, with any single barrel, you're going to get, because it's literally from a single barrel. So each barrel is going to make X amount of bottles, and then you go buy another single barrel from a different bottle out of a single barrel, and you might get a very different flavor. They try and obviously make them close, but when you have one barrel and then you try a bottle out of another barrel, there's a possibility for some sort of inconsistencies in the flavors. This is blended with other similar barrels. They're all going to be 10 years old. They're all going to be the same mash bill, the same char, the same toast. They're going to be aged in the same kind of general area in the rick house. So they're going to be similar. And when they blend them, they're going to get a really consistent flavor. So that's why this bottle, no matter where you buy it, it's going to taste the same every time. So give this a try and then take that step up, maybe to the rare breed, maybe Kentucky Spirit, which I still have not had. And if you want to get to some of their higher end stuff, do it, but also try the 101 and see how that compares to this. So this one here, when I nose this one, this to me it's woody, it's caramel. I don't say caramel because I think it's caramel. I get some orange also, and not a lot. It's just, there's like a hint of orange in there. It's like a slight citrusy, kind of an orange flavor. But I don't like when people say quintessential bourbon. I think it's such a cop-out. It's like calling bourbon smooth. But this is I describe this as a sweet bourbon. Like, it's very bourbony. It's got that caramel. It's got that oak. It's got, a spice. I feel like this is more of a cinnamon. So it's like a cinnamon spice with that wood, with that caramel flavor. Yeah, that's that wood, that oakiness. It's weird how you get it on the nose and then you taste that wood as you take your sip. And that woody, oaky taste kind of lingers. That's what I get the longest on the finish is that oak. So you start off with like an oaky nose with a cinnamon, with some orange, maybe some caramel. And then I think right when you take that sip, you get that oaky caramel right away. And it just doesn't last. It's not a very long finish. It's kind of a medium finish for me. Definitely get caramel. It's kind of thin. It's not doesn't overly coat your mouth. And I think some other ones that you could try, you'll get a little bit more of a mouth coat from that sip. You just don't get it with this. You definitely get more of a short, kind of a thinner sip, which I don't think is a bad thing. Again, this is a $30 bottle that you can drink every day. This isn't a $90 bottle that is for, special occasions. But I think for the money, with the flavors that you get out of this, having it be, have some complexity, because there is some kind of leather on the back end, like it's almost like a new belt smell kind of leather, but you get that like leathery, caramel, wood. I mean, just what you expect from bourbon. It's sweet in the sense that it's not overpowering with a spice or a proof, but it's not sweet like it's not candy. It's not too fruity. I really only get that orange on the nose. I don't get that in the flavor. Yeah, there's some vanilla in there, which again, I think you can always point to caramel, vanilla, oak, leather, tobacco. Those are always kind of a typical bourbon description, but you get a lot of those out of this. I don't get that tobacco-y smell or flavor, but I definitely get the caramel for sure, and I definitely get that oak. So I think this is a really nice kind of a gateway into some better bourbons, because it's got those flavor characteristics that are a little bit more subtle, but also they come out a little bit more as you really kind of dig into the flavor of them. There's not one thing that really stands out to me. I think you get some different flavors, but there's subtlety to them where you don't have to dig all the way in to try and find something, but it's also not like 8 different flavors going on where, the description of it is going to be super intense to try and describe what you're tasting. So I really like this one for everything that it is, with the price, the availability, the flavors, the step up that it would be for somebody that wants to explore more bourbons. To me, I think if you were to start out, you can have your budget type bottles, your $20 or so bottles. But then I think as you start to get into it a little bit more, most people have either had Bulleit or Maker's Mark. Basil Hayden's seems to be kind of like iffy. I think a lot of people aren't really big on Basil Hayden's because I think it's really overpriced most places for what it is. It's a very nice introduction to bourbon, but it's an 80 proof. It's got really catchy marketing, really nice bottling to it. But overall, as a drink, it's nothing special. It leaves a lot to be desired. But I think that's kind of the step up for a lot of people. I would say that's really a basic beginner type of a bottle of bourbon. And I put that with Maker's Mark, and I put that with Bulleit, and they're all very good. But to me, this is taking a step further, a step past what those types of bottles offer. So I would suggest, if you're trying to take a step forward from the budget bourbons, if you haven't stepped out past like a Maker's Mark or Bulleit or the Basil Hayden's, I think this is a really nice step up. And then I think this is a nice segue into some more expensive bottles that are going to definitely offer some more complexity and some more uniqueness. I don't think there's anything really unique about this bottle, but I think it's tasty and it tastes good. And ultimately, I think that's what you're looking for in a bourbon. So try this out. If you've not had it, try it out. Leave some comments below. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think it's any good. I was really excited. I had a lot of good feedback from people that watched the last video on Teeling that had never had Teeling before, and they tried it out, and pretty much everybody that had texted me said they liked it. So I'm glad I didn't miss on that one. I hope I don't sway you in the wrong direction on this one, but try it out. Let me know if you love it. Let me know if you hate it. If you like this video, make sure you hit like. If you disliked it, hit the thumbs down and let me know it sucked. But I'd love to hear your opinions on this bottle here, especially if you've never had it before. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and let me know if there's anything that you would like for me to try out and review on here, because I'd love to try out some different bourbons and share my opinions on it. So enjoy. Can't wait till next time. Cheers.